And KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Our great friend Harley Brown returns to run for governor. Harley, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, why are you running for governor again, sir?
My lawyer convinced me to do it again, you know? And I'm a devout masochist. Hit me, said the masochist. No, said the sadist. That's a little joke. But, I believe God was talking through him as a mouthpiece. Lawyers make good mouthpiece, even for the Lord. And I'm back in the saddle again.
You know, Harley, a lot has changed in our beloved Gem State since you burst on the state and local and national scene, and a lot of folks may not know who you are and what you stand for. So let's talk about what happened 4 years ago, where you were in a debate with our friend Walt. We hope that he recovers well. The governor and Senator Fulcher. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you can thank Butch Otter for having the likes of me and Walt Bates on there. And Butch told Channel 7 he had a schedule conflict, and he told Channel 4 that unless they invited all the candidates, that he himself, Mr. Otter, would not appear. So they reluctantly had me and the redneck Santa Claus on there, and it went national. Hell, it went global, the debate.
It did. Now, tell us a little bit about your candidacy. What do you stand for, Harley?
Truth, justice, and the American way. Yes, sir. I believe in the Constitution. In fact, I was an officer in the U.S. Navy Seabees, company commander in NMCB-1, and I'll tell you, man, that oath means everything to me. And that Constitution is the one level down from Holy Scripture. It was divinely inspired writings. And, everybody from the president down to the dog catcher is sworn to defend it.
Now, let's get back to you, and maybe some people go, well, your voice sounds familiar. So you do this debate on taxpayer-funded television, public television, and all of a sudden you're getting, calls because your videos went viral. So let's talk a little bit about some of the big shows that you've been on or that featured you. I mean, you were on your way.
I was on Chris Mathers' Hardball, and I siped that from Channel 6, and then Arsenio called, and anyhow, this guy Sam Metler, the CEO of Mad Jack Entertainment, wanted to do a reality show for me, about me. So I was driving down Highway 5 at 3 o'clock in the morning, 1,000 miles downrange out of Idaho. I pull over for fuel, and the 20-year-old kid in the gas station says, "Hey, man, I know you. You were on TV. Can I have my picture with you?" "No, punk. Pump my gas." No, of course, being a politician, I was more obsequious with the young man and let him photograph me. That reality, they had a film crew come up to Idaho, and they were filming me all over the place. But those liberal media executives didn't like my Harleyisms, which were direct attacks against political correctness. I wrote on my website all different things about race and creed. Like, I'm an Irishman. I said, how can you tell if an Irishman's gay? He prefers women to whiskey. Or I was over in Israel and found out the real reason why Jewish men get circumcised. It's because Jewish women won't touch anything that's not at least 20% off.
Now, Harley.
No, I mean, that's just a mild example of
We're a family-friendly show. This is like Nickelodeon. We don't even do that.
Well, you're acting like those executives.
I know. They call me Liberal Kevin now. Let's talk a little bit about the campaign and what do you offer that Raul Labrador, Tommy Alquist, and Brad Little don't offer?
Well,
why are you more qualified than them?
I'm doing this because, and you might question my mental sanity, but I heard from God. He said he's going to make me the commander-in-chief, and I figure it's going to be good practice to learn how to govern in the Little League so I don't screw up too bad in the big league. I was a Navy officer, I'm going to have command at sea of a tin can before I get an Iowa-class battleship.
So you're talking about running for president again.
Well, yeah, I already...
This is the stepping stool to you.
Look,
run for
I
president.
did run for president right after the last time I ran for governor. I wanted to free the world from Obamanism and Hillary. But as soon as Trump announced his candidacy, I backed off and endorsed him. And by the way, I was the first guy to do that among all the Idaho governor candidates.
Well, unlike the current governor who endorsed two people before he endorsed Trump, you were with Trump from the beginning. Did Trump steal your act? He watches TV quite a bit.
Hey, you know what my wife said? She said Trump probably saw me on TV, and that pushed him over the edge to go for it. He said, if that crazy biker out there in Idaho can do it, then I can do it. And then Melania says, yes, Donald, you can do anything you put your mind to. And by golly, he became president of the United States.
That could have been you. Should have been you.
Well, I'd like to get some more practice in the Little League, if I may. Because I don't want to say stuff like, well, sorry if our bombing caused you any inconvenience. We hit the wrong country this time. We'll send you billions of dollars to rebuild you like we did to the Japs in Germany.
Right, the Japanese and the Germans. Okay.
The Japanese.
Yes.
So, yes, sir.
Yeah, no, we can't do that. We're a
touchy.
Now, Harley, we
Okay.
can't. Now. We don't do that. Kevin Miller needs to keep his job, so
Yes, sir, Kevin.
we're not insensitive. So we apologize for any insensitivity. So let's get back to this.
Yeah.
Harley. Many people say you're not serious.
I
Are you
am
serious?
serious.
What would you do if elected, sir?
Well, I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of listening. But I'd be only one of 6 constitutional officers. It's not like the president. All the cabinet works for him. You got the comptroller, you got the treasurer, you got the attorney general, you got the superintendent of public instruction, and the lieutenant governor. These are all elected by
Right.
the people of Idaho. I'm not their boss.
Well, wait a minute now, Harley. What are you going to do? Now, you have some candidates say they're going to fix the schools. You have other candidates say they're going to put guns in every classroom. Some candidates say they're balancing the budget. People are texting me now saying, they're worried about you making us the laughing stock of the nation. How do you respond to the criticism, sir? You don't back down from anybody.
And I will answer that with the most famous movie line of all times. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, okay? People can say all kinds. People have been calling me crazy all my life, but it never stopped me,
What
I
is
got a
your family-
rhinoceros hide, huh?
I'm with you, but this ain't cheap running for governor.
No. It takes a lot of time and energy
And money.
away from my family.
What does your family say where they go, Harley, you're spending all your time, your effort, your money running for governor? Are they behind
Well,
you?
my wife is wonderful. I mean, she's the exact opposite of me. She's the homebody, never wants to go out, in public with the likes of me, I guess. But she's the nicest person. It's been said by many. She's the nicest person you'll ever want to meet. And what I love about her is that she follows orders. When I say we're going to do something, she says, yes, dear. And she's extremely, I don't run my family like it's the Marine Corps, but she definitely knows her place as a woman. And
her place as a woman is taking the orders.
Hey, what does it say in Ephesians, man? Wives, obey your husbands. I didn't say that. God did. I rest my case.
I'm still mad they took out obey with the wedding vows. They took that out now.
My wedding ring is titanium.
I was negotiating with Reverend Bill. He wouldn't put it back in there.
Nah, but we got a great marriage. I've been married before.
Well, no, hold on, Harley.
What?
We're getting off on the...
Oh, yeah.
Let's back to, why are you more representative of Idaho than Brad Little, Raul Labrador, or Tommy Alquist?
Well, those are good men.
Well, then maybe they should run, and you should run for lieutenant governor, or
I
school
need the
superintendent.
practice.
I can
need
see you
command at sea.
I can see you as the state school superintendent. Actually, I think you'd really help those kids learn.
Well, I give them financial education. That's one thing. STEM. I'm an engineer. Science, engineering, technology, and math. Finance. That Dave Ramsey
Right. So
course for kids, man. They need that.
Right. Back to why are you more qualified, or you would be a better governor than those good men that you've mentioned?
I never said I would. Brad Little's got a lot of experience. Raul, he's a good man. In fact, I've been in his office, and he puts his name on the sign-out board, the little magnets. He's underneath all of his secretaries and everything else. And Raul actually called it in, like calling mortar fire in on your own position. I got a letter from him saying, if you ever had any problem with the feds, call our people, and our constituent resource people can help you out. I told him one time a few years ago, you don't know what kind of a tsunami you're going to get at that. I don't know Tommy Ahlquist, but, he's a doctor, and I really, as a professional engineer, I respect his profession.
Now, are you going to be in the debates? I mean, there are a lot
I
of
don't
debates
know
and
if
stuff.
these TV shows are going to let me on.
Well, if we have debates, we'd let you on our debates.
Thank you. Oh, I'll go to every debate I can get.
I would hope that everybody who has debates would have you on.
Oh, yeah,
If they're fair, right?
I'll tell you the
Steve
worst ones
Pankey.
about that is Channel 7. They're a
boy.
bunch of arrogant.
Now, they're our news partners, so you can't really badmouth Channel 7 here. Channel 7's been good to us.
I'll get a Channel 7 voodoo doll, go down to Walmart with 10,000 pins, and wonder why they have the stress in the lower cavity.
Well, that's not very gubernatorial. You got to be bigger than that.
I didn't start it. Many years ago, they wouldn't let me or other candidates who didn't have all the money in their war chest.
So you believe, though, that you should be on every debate?
I think it'd be fair.
All right. What about public television? You think they'll let you back on the public Melissa Davlin? Will she let you back on?
Their ratings went up due to my.
You made them famous. All kidding aside, you made them famous.
Yeah, well, that Melissa's all right.
Her mom listens to the program, so you got to be careful.
Melissa, you should have seen the.
I don't know if Melissa listens, but her mom does. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The always informative Harley Brown with us till 7:30. We would love to take your calls on this. Do you want to hear from people? Do you think that someone would
I'll talk to anybody. I'm not shy.
Okay, you're ready for the criticism.
Bring it on. I mean, I'm not a masochist, really, but...
You're ready to not back down. You're ready to take on people, like Liberal Steve or somebody of that nature.
Hey, I just want to say, Democrats piss me off.
Well, there's a unique verb. We apologize for that. It's going to be a rough one, folks.
What is this? Did I go too close to the edge on that one?
You know something? We don't use that type of language here.
Sorry. I'll be more ladylike and dainty.
Well, if you wouldn't say it in church, you wouldn't say it on the Kevin Miller Show. That's how it works.
Okay.
To each his own. All right, our great friend Harley Brown is with us. We so enjoy having him here. We would love to hear your interaction with Harley about his platform. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And we continue on with our great friend Harley Brown. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And we'll take your questions for Harley coming up. So, Harley, your thoughts on Governor Otter? Has he been a good governor?
Well, personally, I know the man, and I like him a lot, okay? For a politician, you got to realize he's a politician. But by God, he's a good man, and I like him. And, he saved my gesundheits a few times in our political campaign trails, and I owe him one for that.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about some people have been emailing in. Kevin, you've got the Rodney Dangerfield of Idaho on here. Harley's the poster child for Don't Fail Idaho. We need serious candidates. How do you respond to that?
Who, me?
Yeah, they're talking about you being on. They're mad.
I
that
am
you're on.
serious. This is part of my personality. I like to crack jokes. I like to be colorful because really I have such a abrasive personality that all this humor adds oil to the abrasion to keep it from attacking.
I hope it's not flammable.
No, I mean I get really passionate about stuff,
Sure.
and I'm trained, to do a lot of damage with the martial arts, and I'm Irish, and I got a temper, like a volcano.
Now, would you need security because you're trained in the martial arts if somebody tried to physically accost you if you were the governor? Would you give somebody a judo chop, or how would you defend yourself? Can you disclose what your martial arts training is?
Hapkido,
Oh, Hapkido.
brown belt. Hell, I trained for, I tested for my black belt, but I didn't have the finesse to,
A lot of joint locks in Hapkido, right?
yeah, joint locks and, kill, but, I could break anything. Concrete boards, I'm 6'3" and 280 pounds.
I thought you were taller than 6'3".
Well, I got my big
Yeah.
boots on today.
I'm 5'8" on a good day, and I look like a little kid next to you.
Well, people look up to me. Yeah. But see, that's my personality. I like to crack jokes, and if people think, they can think whatever the heck they want.
All right, let's get to traffic and weather together. 25 after the hour. And, we have another person running for governor. He's calling in right now. Liberal Steve, I believe he's running for governor. He wants to take you on. Liberal Steve, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Harley Brown.
Good morning, Mr. Brown. Good morning, Mr. Miller. And Mr. Miller, don't set it up like a boxing match. I don't use the word he wants to take you on.
Well, aren't you running for governor as well?
I've never said that.
Oh, well, my mistake. I made a mistake, and I apologize for the antagonism.
Oh, okay. The apology accepted. First question, would Mr. Brown leave the 6% sales tax on groceries, or would he fight to get that off for the citizens of Idaho?
That's too much tax. We shouldn't have to be paying tax on food. And when we get half of it back anyway when we file our taxes,
So you don't want to repeal the grocery tax?
I want to repeal the grocery tax. Eliminate it.
Oh, okay. Second question, as far as freedom of adults in the state of Idaho, would you be for or against the legalization of cannabis?
Oh, legalize it, man. Look at prohibition, what a farce that was back in the 20s. And I'm a Irishman. Alcohol is my drug of choice. But man, yeah, why not legalize?
But that's
stuff.
against federal law. I mean,
What?
you'd be violating federal law, Harley.
In 1937, it grew along the roads.
Right, but that was before the internet and television.
Okay, show me in the U.S. Constitution where it gives authority from we the people to the U.S. government to tell us what the heck we can smoke or put in our bodies. God, show me. What article?
It's called the Supremacy Clause.
The Supremacy Clause, but the law itself is based on areas that the Constitution doesn't cover.
So Supremacy Clause goes back to federalism, goes back to the Federalist Papers. We're going to agree to disagree, but you want to legalize marijuana.
Yes, legalize pot.
So we would be like Oregon.
Oregon's a liberal state. Hell, that's a communist state.
A lot of smelly people in Oregon because, that marijuana smells.
I don't think we should legalize. I mean, believe that. I don't think we should outlaw marijuana.
Liberal
I
Steve?
went to college in the 70s. I know what it smells like.
I'm sure you do. Liberal Steve, any other questions?
Yeah, I've got another question. Where does he stand on the legalization in the state of Idaho for gay marriage between a woman and a woman, a man and a man?
Well, I said that in my debate 4 years ago.
You did. I do remember that.
Yes. I don't want to sound like I know this doesn't sound Republican, but these people, these gay people,
You're
are
down with
American.
the gays. You're down with the gays marrying, right?
No, they're American citizens.
Right,
They're as American as a Medal of Honor winner, liberty and justice for all, equal protection under the law. And as a taxi driver for 20 years at night, I've picked up my fair share of the gay community, and those guys really love each other. And if they want to get married, let them do it and lay off. I don't believe in my conscience being someone else's guide.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown, for answering a question straightforward.
Okay, Steve,
more
yeah,
than
my
I can-
pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Okay. No.
Harley, anything else you'd like to say? The half hour has gone incredibly fast.
Yeah, it's been fun. I don't want to take up all your airtime. And I
Yeah, but
got
you're
nothing
you-
against the other candidates.
Do you have the website up yet? You got a
No,
web-
we're still working on that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I haven't met Tommy Alquist, but I respect his profession. Rural Labrador's an Eagle Scout. I respect him. He's helped me a great deal with the feds personally. And Mr. Lieutenant Governor Brad Little, he's the most frugal man I ever met, and he's hard working as
What do you
they
mean
come.
by he's frugal?
Well, he'd squeeze a nickel until the eagle, until the buffalo had an involuntary bowel movement. And
Well, you don't hear that every day.
No, that's what I respect about Brad. He's not and if he'll take that personal habit and not apply it to this, and his personal habit will spill over into the state if he becomes governor.
What about you? Are you a fiscal conservative? Are you a tax
I'm a
and spend?
fiscal conservative, but I'm not a social conservative.
I can tell that, yes.
But one thing, I'm down on abortion like God Almighty is down on sin. And just because I was born with a coat hanger in my ear, don't think my mother don't love me.
Okay. Harley Brown, we'd love to have you back. Thank you for thinking of us and calling in. We appreciate you listening, and we hope to see you on all the debates and such.
Thank you, Kevin. God bless you.
God bless our friend Harley Brown. And when you have your website up, let us know, and we'll publicize it, and we'll have you back.
Will do.
All right. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And blessed to be a part of your day, Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. A couple things we are talking about. Dick's Sporting Goods saying they're not going to sell any more assault rifles, assault weapons, whatever that means. In addition to that, the president saying it doesn't matter what Congress does. He's going to do what he wants, right? Then you have the governor of Washington saying that he doesn't want teachers to carry firearms. We begin with Governor Inslee in the Thank Goodness We Live in Idaho segment.
Whatever percentage it is, speaking as a grandfather,
Right.
speaking as a governor of the state of Washington, I have listened to the people who would be affected by that. I have listened to the biology teachers, and they don't want to do that at any percentage.
By the way, this is Governor Inslee speaking to President Trump, waving his finger saying, I don't want teachers armed.
I've listened to the first grade teachers that don't want to be pistol packing first grade teachers. I've listened to law enforcement who have said they don't want to have to train teachers as law enforcement agencies, which takes about 6 months.
You know, one of the things that makes our time together so precious, and that's why I always say blessed to be with you here on KIDO Talk Radio, is that we don't know when our time is up. We don't know when God will call us home or our loved ones. And everybody has a decision to make in life. Now, yesterday we heard Joy Behar say that she would rather be shot than shoot someone. I don't know. I've always lived by the motto, most of us have, kill or be killed. But we see that permeating in our society today where it's okay to give up our lives because we don't want to offend anybody or shoot. Now, look, if you're a teacher and you don't want to carry a weapon, great. I don't think anybody is forcing educators to do this, right? And then we have the issue it's really old news that's been recycled, where we have Garden Valley having teachers armed and they have secret safes and everything, and the news media is making a big story out of it. We covered it 4 years ago or 3 years ago when they made that decision, right? But here you have a governor saying that the teachers, so really it comes down to this. And if you're a teacher, you know, if have kids that go to school, are you comfortable with teachers packing, right? I don't know what the danger is when we're talking about responsible shepherdship of the kids. Maybe it's that most of us have been blessed that we've never been in a helpless situation. When's the last time that you or someone you know has been helpless? Was it a car accident? Was it maybe one of those lovely trips to the doctor or the dentist or somebody of that nature, where we lose control and we're helpless? We're at the mercy of someone else. We're a victim. A real-life victim, not what we have today, where everybody's a victim. So here you have this governor saying, the teachers aren't comfortable, law enforcement isn't comfortable with it. But what about the teachers that are? Now, most of us, thank God, we will never have to be in these situations. But I can't understand why some people would just choose not to protect themselves.
I just think this is a circumstance where we need to listen, that educators should educate, and they should not be foisted upon this responsibility of packing heat in first grade classes. Now, I understand you have suggested this, and we suggest things, and sometimes then we listen to people about it. Maybe they don't look so good a little later. So I just suggest we need a little less tweeting here, a little more listening, and let's just take that off the table and move forward.
Maybe we should do that when we're talking about banning firearms. Maybe we should do some more listening there, Governor Inslee. Again, our Thank Goodness We Live in Idaho segment, where you have a governor saying, I don't want first grade teachers carrying weapons. Is there something wrong with teaching first grade? Is there something wrong with, let's say, men or women that care about children carrying a weapon to protect themselves, a firearm? If you're averse to this, I urge you to go, do some research for yourself. Go to Independence. Go shoot on the range. Go talk to those folks. The media portrays people that love guns as wacko kooks. But that's so far from the truth. Maybe you deal with this in your life each and every day when people go, well, there were this, that, it's the worst ever since Trump. No, it isn't. By the way, which state are we closer to? Washington with Governor Inslee, or Kentucky, where you can carry if you're a teacher?
When we mock and ridicule the very foundational principles that this nation was built upon, where you treat people the way you'd want to be treated, where you respect human life, where you respect the dignity of women and of children and of people who we have increasingly degraded in our society, this culture of death is becoming pervasive.
And we either embrace the culture of death or we say enough. Remember what this governor, Matt Devon, said of Kentucky, where we denigrate people. And we've seen that in the media. We've seen it in video games. We've seen it in music. We've seen it in popular culture. It comes down to taking a stand. Will you take a stand? Joe in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Morning. As far as the teachers packing guns and things like that, I don't know where I stand because, like you said, where people lose control in situations. I was in the military and I served in Iraq, and I've seen trained soldiers day in and day out that were training every single day lose control when, the crap hits the fan. So it's just that fine line where if we do arm our teachers and they're trained, no matter what, they're going to react how they react, and it could be bad. It could be very bad. So, it's that win-win or lose-lose, whatever you want to do. But I think we need some sort of first-line defense, plain and simple.
Right. It comes down to which is worse, the potential for a situation going from bad to worse, or everybody's a victim.
Exactly. And I don't know, like that one guy called a few days ago about training unemployed soldiers. They're already trained, or, all these people I know who have applied for police officer positions didn't get positions. They want to do the job. Give them a job.
I totally agree. And I think, again, instead of running from it, we need to look at, where were the failures in law enforcement? Where were the failures everywhere else? Instead of just saying, I'm going to pull this because it makes me feel good.
Right. Taking away things isn't going to make the situation better. We need to add to it, make it better. That's all I had to say.
Joe, thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Jim in Middleton with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jim.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. I see that this topic is still burning up the radio waves. There's a couple things I failed to mention the last time I spoke to you. And first of all, if teachers and parents want to keep these kids safe, what they need to do is they need to raise them right with ethics and morals. And above all, they need to teach them which bathroom to use. And Kevin, in addition, what I don't hear people asking is, why is this happening now and not then? Like when we were kids.
Right.
And I want to challenge any of your people out on the radio to ask that question. Let's be honest with ourselves. Why is it happening now? We have background checks. We have better psychologists and so forth. But back then, there was no gun restriction. There was no background checks, and the same guns were out there. This is the questions that we need to be asking.
I think it comes down to what kind of culture, what type of society we want to be.
Kevin, that's it. We're not looking in the mirror. We're not looking at ourselves. We're looking at everything else. Okay, nothing is our fault. We want to take a pill. We don't want to do the hard work. Okay, we have to ask that question. Why now and not then? All the teachers, okay, all of the people that get paid to care, and they get paid a lot of money to care, you have to ask that question. And if you can't ask that question, you're not going to solve this problem.
Jim, thank you for the call.
You have a better and fine day.
All right, our great friend Jim. Let's go to Brian in Nampa with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Kevin. Just wanted to give a shout-out to Jim. I used to drive bus with him, so me and him know each other well. I just wanted to do a correction. Yesterday I said raise the age to 18. I meant 21. I get a little nervous when I'm talking on the radio every once in a while. Also, this teachers with gun things, we already do this in Texas and Utah. You remember when they said concealed carry and, there's going to be, gunfights in the street and everything else? It's already happening in our country, and when's the last time you heard a teacher shooting a bunch of kids? And another thing people don't want to face is the reality that Israel does this right now, and they don't pack pistols, they pack assault rifles guarding their kids. I think it's a little ridiculous that you say, I want to be a teacher, and you want to be responsible for kids' protection, but you don't want to protect them. Now, I'm not opposed to, trained people going in there, but this governor saying that it takes 6 months to train somebody on a concealed weapon is ridiculous. And just to counter, somebody called in after me and said, why do you need an AR-15? I want to give 3 examples. There was a 15-year-old kid whose dad was a cop in Harrison County, Texas. 2 thugs broke into his house, and he defended his 12-year-old sister with an AR-15. And if you remember, there was this shooting in the church in Texas, and an NRA-certified instructor stopped that shooting with an AR-15. And if you remember back to the L.A. riots, there was a whole bunch of businessmen that were Oriental that stopped those riots from destroying their businesses with AR-15s. Now, if you look up the CDC, they have numbers on the number of times lives are saved or crime is stopped in the United States. That ranges from 500,000 to 3 million times in the United States that crime or violence is stopped with a firearm. So my question to everybody that calls in and said, why do we need these firearms? Are you willing to allow 500,000 to 3 million crimes to go unprotected? That's what I got, Kevin.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. More coming up, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I want to know, I'd like your thoughts on this with President Trump. Now, we support President Trump. We think he's doing a great job, but the president has said this concerning bump stocks, that he's not going to wait for really anybody to do anything. He's going to make it up as he goes. Here's the Attorney General.
Top people in the Department of Justice have believed for some time that we can, through regulatory process, not allow the bump stock to convert a weapon from semi-automatic to fully automatic.
Right. So now, even though Congress has yet to take a look at bump stocks, even though Congress is the person that is the body that would decide this, the president decided no more bump stocks.
By the way, bump stocks, we're writing that out. I'm writing that out myself. I don't care if Congress does it or not. I'm writing it out myself, okay? You put it into the machine gun category, which is what it is. It becomes essentially a machine gun, and nobody's going to be able. It's going to be very hard to get them. So we're writing out bump stocks.
Now, for anybody, how many politicians that are vilifying the bump stocks, how many people have actually used a bump stock? We'll talk about it next. And are you comfortable with the president making it up as he goes? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And 54 after the hour, Kevin Miller in the morning here, talking school safety. Taking your phone calls, we have the governor of the state of Washington saying it's going to take 6 months for teachers to be trained, and he's not down with it. He's lecturing the president of the United States recently.
Whatever percentage it is, speaking as a grandfather,
right,
speaking as a governor of the state of Washington, I have listened to the people who would be affected by that. I have listened to the biology teachers, and they don't want to do that at any percentage.
By the way, it's very quick for him to do a listening tour, just my own observation.
I've listened to the first grade teachers that don't want to be pistol packing first grade teachers. I've listened to law enforcement who have said they don't want to have to train teachers as law enforcement agencies, which takes about 6 months.
There you have it. Now, are we more like Washington or Kentucky?
When we mock and ridicule the very foundational principles that this nation was built upon, where you treat people the way you'd want to be treated, where you respect human life, where you respect the dignity of women and of children and of people who we have increasingly degraded in our society. This culture of death is becoming pervasive.
And to counter that, Kentucky is saying teachers carry concealed. Roger in Boise with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Roger.
Good morning. Just want to bring out an observation. If you take a piece of paper and you draw two lines, say 2 or 3 inches apart, and at the top of the page you put 50 to 100 little dots, and in the middle of the page you put 1 dot, and at the bottom of the page you put 1 dot. The officer coming in the door is the 1 dot at the bottom of the page. If he fires at the gunman who's the dot in the middle of the page and misses, who does he hit? He hits the children. If you put a T in the middle of that group of little dots to stand for teachers, when they fire, what are they firing back at? Only the shooter. It just makes sense to me that shooting away from the children instead of into the crowd makes more sense than doing it the other way. What do you think?
Obviously, you thought. I'm just listening, Roger.
That's it. I'm done. That was just my thought.
Fair enough.
If you draw it out visually, you can see it. If the officer fires, if he's the best shot in the world, and when I was trained to fire in groups of 2. If I fire 2 and hit him both times, it's a miracle. If he's now carrying a semi-automatic pistol, which most of them do, he's going to fire 5 or 6 or more times. If he hits that suspect 2 out of 5, 3 bullets are going to go down range. If he hits him 4 out of 5, 1 bullet's going to go down range. Now he's looking at a wrongful death suit for the next 2 years. There is no win for that officer to come through the door. Granted, he has to do it, and he should do it, but there's no win. If the teachers are in the crowd and they have firearms coming back against the shooter, presumably there's no bunch of kids standing at the end of the down range from the teachers. And that's about all I was thinking about.
Roger, great point. Thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Traffic and weather to get. And quickly, we go to Tom in Nampa on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tom.
Oh, good morning, Kevin. Well, I've expressed my views yesterday on the gun control, but while I agree with the president and the position he takes, I don't agree that he should unilaterally be able to issue some kind of executive order on this. I don't. We used to have problems with Obama doing that. It's clearly an area of Congress, so I think Congress should be the one to act, and not the president by himself. And one other thing, that fellow said that guy in Texas that shot at that shooter that went into that church using an AR-15. He used a hunting rifle, not an AR-15. And as far as the sheriff down there in Florida being suspended, the voters voted him in. I agree he should resign. But I think the voters should have to recall it. When the governor can suspend a duly elected official, I think we're kind of treading on dangerous ground there.
I agree, Tom.